Hi, this is Marybeth and Jerry from Fort McAllister in Georgia. It's a beautiful park. As you can see, it's actually quite warm for being January, the beginning of January. It's 76 degrees for all you people that are in a colder climate. For those that are in a warmer climate, wish I was there. So it's not, we've been at this camp. This is our second time. This is right outside one of our favorite places we've mentioned on our videos, Savannah. At this time or at this particular trip, we're not going to have a chance to go into Savannah, but at the end of the month, we're coming back up. We're going to spend a couple days here and hit one of my favorite restaurants in Savannah. So today we're going to talk about our past a little over a year from late 2018 to today, which is the first week of 2020. 2018 December, we spent Christmas with friends up in Seattle, Washington, and left pretty much the last week of December.
December 30th.
And realistically started our YouTube channel the last week of December. We have one or two older ones, but our biggest hit was the one we did in the end of December, which would have been our backing into a campsite in a state park after dark. And it was quite exhilarating because as we were driving into California, we had just posted the video and it hit 100 and 200 and 300. We were excited going back and forth saying, this is like our first big video, and 1,000, 1,200, and go ahead.
You have to understand, we had only been doing YouTube for four days maybe, and it hits 1,000, it hits 2,000, and in very short order, it hit over 4,000 views, and we're like, this is easy stuff.
So everybody look at it again. We'll get it to 8,000, but
we'll put it up in,
up in the clouds
where
somewhere.
it is up there. We'll put a link just so you can see what was going on. But yeah, we got surprised when we found out that we're lucky, we'll get a couple of hundred views, because that one hit and went over 4,000 very, very quickly.
Truth be told, we haven't hit another one like that yet. But and sadly enough, it was a small 2-minute video that I took after dark. I really wasn't excited about doing it, but it was thrown together. And if I'd have known it was going to hit those kind of numbers, I would have put more time into it.
But you say we haven't hit those kind of numbers, but your videos for the working down at the gate guard regularly has over 1,000 views, and same with our other work camping. Yeah,
we have
videos.
Quite a few in the 1,000, 2,000 range, but that was our most exciting one because we were driving through California. There's not much exciting things can happen in California when all the national parks are closed.
Yeah.
As we came through California and the surrounding on our way to Texas for our gate guarding gig, we were going to do a lot of stopping and traveling to see national parks, and lo and behold, the budget, Congress couldn't agree on a budget, so the first thing and the thing they do all the time is automatically shut down all the national parks.
So instead of hanging around and slowly coming through down the West Coast, we hightailed it directly to Texas, where we were going to do a gate guarding jobs.
Right, so we arrived January 3rd in El Paso, Texas. Well, before that, actually, on January 1st, we decided to check Quartzsite out.
Yeah, we did stop at Quartzsite real quick. Nobody was really there yet, but we wanted to just get a feel of what the community was like.
To keep it on our list of things we want to do. So, but we actually stayed in a campground in Quartzsite.
Right.
We didn't really rough it.
We didn't boondock.
And then, like I said, headed down to the 3rd, where we were in El Paso and started our license permits for private gate guarding duty. And we did it all right in El Paso. We were sitting in the parking lot of
a casino, which I don't remember the name of, but it was a casino right near the border, and we stayed there for 3 nights and did everything we needed to do to start gate guarding. We actually were there 3 nights because I was so sick, and we needed me to get a little bit better before we started a new job.
Right, and with Guard 1, we were sent over to Monahans. And we got there about the 22nd, give or take about the 22nd, and sat for, like most other people, 4 or 5 days before we got our first gig, which was to go into an area of Monahans. It was about 60 miles north of Monahans. Very dirty, very dusty, but we learned what caliche was there because we went through caliche roads, and we're sitting guarding a road that was under construction.
Yeah, our experience at gate guarding is very different than everyone else you hear about. We did not actually do any of this where we lived out of our trailer at the gate guard site. Our first one was road construction.
Which we did sit on the side of the road, but it was to keep people off it, not
Right.
to get people on it.
Yeah, there was no signing in or signing out. It was just to make sure that no one went down the road. And then the next one we did was in Carlsbad.
We went up to Carlsbad. We hit that beginning of February. We're up at Carlsbad.
And instead of protecting a road, we protected a bridge. And
Yes.
again, we didn't have our trailer right there, but I worked 12 hours, you worked 12 hours. Well, actually, he worked 14, but we'll call it a
sitting
12.
in a truck, watching videos, because the idea was that they didn't want anybody to go across the bridge. And it was really quite easy. Only about 5 or 10 times a day did we have to jump out of the car quick and say, no, as somebody who's using their GPS,
Right.
It would send them over this 5-ton bridge. And as everybody knows in the industry, there's nothing under 5 tons in any of these trucks.
No. And then that finished up, and we did a totally different job again. We worked 12 hours on, and we worked the same 12 hours in a guard shack.
And I'll have to say, because she gets this wrong, it was Catula.
Yes.
And we had a call. We were stuck in a state park. They didn't have any room for us at the normal corral. And after sitting there for 5 days, James from Guard 1 called up and said, look, it's slow up here. And to be honest, we knew we were way down the list because there was 7 of us, I think, sitting in the state park. And he said, they're looking for people down Catula. I said, within an hour, we were packed up and out of there. Can't earn any money sitting in a state park, even though they were paying for the site.
Yeah, they were paying for the site. And this job was different in the fact that we were not being paid on a 1099. We were being paid on a W-2. We were actually employees of the guard company. And we both worked 12-hour shifts, the same shift, in guard stations that were maybe a mile apart.
Right.
And we worked 4 days on and 4 days off. Occasionally we got overtime, so our pay was really well. If you want to know more about Gate Garden, check out our videos. We have a series of them that explains the different opportunities we had down there.
Right, especially the video, if you're interested, it shows the different types of opportunities, the 24/7, the guard check, the pipeline.
Yeah.
So check the videos out. Another one, the final wrap-up, will tell you what kind of money some of them pay. Some of them are quite extensive. So the only thing I got to say about Catula, it was nice, it was green, it was pleasant, the birds chirped in the morning. I did like it.
We were actually staying in a campground, and I was thrilled because we had a tree, not a lot of trees. We had one tree on our campsite.
And fire ants.
And I was thrilled that I could look at the tree on my day off.
So
and we were close to San Antonio, which we loved.
Yeah.
We loved San Antonio.
That you'll see our video on it. We have it, so we won't go into that here. But yeah, we did love San Antonio. And that carried us through into April. And then April, we finished our gig up and...
Just happened to finish in time that if we got on the road and didn't slow down too much, we could be back in Connecticut with some of our grandchildren for Easter. And,
You know, I have to tell you, being married to her for 40-something years can be exciting sometimes. We were going to Pigeon Forge, which everybody knows is in Tennessee.
yes.
And we were in Texas, which everybody knows is near Mexico. But we did it by way of Connecticut.
Yes.
Because of Easter.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the year before that, we were in Florida heading to Tennessee and decided that my grandson, nobody ever gets to go up to Connecticut in February for his birthday.
Right, absolutely.
So we went from Florida to Tennessee by way of Connecticut again.
Absolutely.
So apparently our directions we suck at.
So we went up to Connecticut and came back down and worked at Dollywood. I worked at Dollywood for the summer season. From May until September, I was at Dollywood. And Tennessee, Pigeon Forge, it's a wonderful place. If you have a chance to vacation there, I'd highly recommend it.
And the best of all worlds is while your wife is working and you're retired.
That's right.
So I got a lot of work done on the trailer. It's an older trailer, so we had a lot of work to do, get the truck updated, so on and so forth. So we did that all the way to September.
Right.
And then September, this is our third stint we did up at the beet harvest.
Yes. We went up to North Dakota, Grand Forks, except this time, not only did we meet our son up there, who's been working the beet harvest for a few years, but our daughter and son-in-law also went up there and worked. So while it was really rough, I mean, the weather was horrible, flooding, and you probably know, we got evacuated, and
But on our way up, we decided to stop in. Now we left, we decided to stop in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Right.
The water there was phenomenal. It's a very interesting place, a little dated. Then we went to Branson, Missouri, because we had free tickets to get into Silver City.
Advantage of working at Dollywood.
And you know, the same chicken is at Branson as
Oh,
in
but
Polly.
I really enjoyed going to
So
Branson.
we went to the Stampede while we were in Branson. And then we went up to Omaha,
Yes.
Omaha, Nebraska, for the zoos.
Really enjoyed that also.
And we had a few more stops planned, but like Mary was saying on our way up, it was heavy flooding. A lot of the roads were shut, a lot of detours because of the amount of water. The Missouri River was overflowing on a continual basis. Farmers were brutal. So
farmers were had such a rough year.
again, we had planned to stop, but we got head up for that. And then apparently, when we were going up, there was some sort of apple festival that had every campground booked.
Probably
all the way up to Sioux City.
Miles. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
So we went from Omaha straight all the way up to Grand Forks before we can actually pull into a campsite and get a night.
Yeah.
But that happens sometimes. I'm sure it's happened to you, is where you didn't have enough dates planned.
Well,
and
we hardly ever make a reservation in advance. We kind of wing it, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't work. So from Grand Forks.
So again, you have to look at a lot of our videos because we got flooded out continually.
Yes.
And we spent the entire month there, where if you look at our 2 videos, the first year was 17 days, I think.
Yes.
Straight, not a day off, and we were done. The next one was, I think, 5 or 6 weeks.
Correct.
And on, off, few days on, few days off, which was the best money. And then this one here was just a month of rain, and it was actually, it was not our best experience for the meat harvest. And then, so we spent an entire month there. On October 29th. It looked like rain, frost freeze, and we just pulled the cord and decided to head out.
Yeah, it's important for anybody who watches our videos this past year about the beet harvest to understand that Express Professionals, which is a really cool outfit to work for, is having you be very aware you must stay to October 31st. This past year, people were leaving right off from the beginning of the month because the weather was so horrible, and they kind of need you to hang around. So,
yeah, they do.
So if you decide to sign up, be very aware you must stay through October 31st.
And also be aware that it can be as short as 2 weeks. It could be as long as 6 weeks.
Right.
And it is what it is. And then headed back, and like our experience going up, we were trying to beat a snowstorm coming south.
Yeah, there was major snowstorm coming in, and we definitely needed to hightail it to get out of the storm.
Our only plus is as you'll see on some of our videos, especially the upcoming year, we have 2 different groups of other besides us, of family members on the road. One is our son Scott, who's a van dweller. He's right now heading to Texas. And my daughter and her family, they're homeschooled. They're heading out west.
They YouTube under Learning as We're Living, and I'm sure you've caught their videos. If you see ours, you know that we quite often talk about each other's YouTube channel.
And what does that get us? We were heading down south, and we were at a little airfield in the middle of, I don't know, somewhere lower Illinois.
Yeah.
And we had a camp, and the next thing we get a call, hey, we're just down the road. We'll catch up with you. And we just kind of intermingle and pass each other. And it was a pleasant experience that we found the only open campground within about 80 miles of the place. And who pulls up with my daughter and the 3 grandkids? Oh, my son-in-law too, he came. But it was a great evening.
Yeah, it's nice to run into them. Sometimes it's planned, sometimes it's a surprise like that was.
So here we are, January 9th, and our highlights and our lowlights. You want to do some of the highlights?
Well, first of all, after the beet harvest, don't forget we went back to Dollywood and did the Christmas season at Dollywood. And that's very interesting. A lot of long hours, lots of crowds, lots of decorations. The whole community is set up for Christmas. I had never worked the Christmas season at Dollywood before, and it was really, really busy.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was hugely busy. You were working long hours.
Yeah. So then, as you said, what next?
Next is some of our best parts of the year and some of the worst.
Well, to begin with, we have gone how many miles? 28,000 miles this year.
Oh yeah, we started at
27,089 miles since December 30th, 2018.
Got it.
So
no, I keep a log. Every time I fill up, I log where I am, what I paid for it, what the gas was. So we're able to go back 3 years and see exactly where we are for the last 3 years. And that's how we're able to put this together.
And what was your favorite spots if you had to pick some?
Well, my favorite, of course, was Carlsbad. I really like Carlsbad.
That would be one of my favorites.
I was impressed at how massive it was.
Yeah.
It's not a little cave. It is a massive cave.
Yeah, that big room is big. Yeah, I like Carlsbad.
And my second one was I discovered Russell's Reserve Wild Turkey at one of the distilleries.
Had no idea.
Russell is actually the, what do you call him? I don't want to call him a brewmaster, but he's actually the main distiller, and he gets his own reserve because they want to hang him on. So, what was yours?
I liked Omaha Zoo. I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed going to Branson.
If you haven't seen it, Omaha Zoo is the place where Katie escaped.
Yeah.
And we spent hours going around the Omaha Zoo looking for Katie who turns out was napping in the trailer.
Katie is our koala that has been traveling with us for over 30 years. And yeah, she was supposed to be in her backpack, and somehow she was on the sofa in our trailer when we thought I had dropped her in the zoo. And it was fun trying to retrack our steps throughout the whole zoo looking for Katie.
It was fun. Now let me tell you about this. She says to me, retrace our steps. Now we just spent 8 hours in Omaha Zoo, and we had to check every corner of the Omaha Zoo. So I went from A to B to C to D, all the way back. I get all the way to the end after running around this panting, wheezing, having half a heart attack, and she comes by in a cart with somebody saying, oh, we'll check the areas again. And she drove off in a cart after I just ran around.
Cart.
A golf cart after I just ran.
A staff member decided to take pity on me and offered me a golf cart ride to check out the whole zoo. Well, besides all that, the zoo is fantastic. I highly recommend it.
And also, I guess one of the lower points again were the fact that when we came down through California, all the national parks were closed.
Yeah, well, the flooding was pretty low point for me. Not just the flooding at the beet harvest, but on our way up there, it was kind of an interesting scenario. State parks and campgrounds were closed all over the place because of the flooding. So we don't stay in a lot of casinos, but we do stay in some casinos when we find that we don't have our first option available. So we pulled into this casino who advertised RV sites, nothing more than parking lot, but they had utilities, and we were fine with that. And we paid dearly to park there. This wasn't a freebie. This was $50, $60 to park there. And they assigned us a site. And there was maybe 25, 30 sites they could have assigned us. But they assigned us a site, and we did what we were told. And we went and stayed in that parking space. And it started raining, and we didn't think much of it. And then our phone rang, and they said, you have to evacuate, because they parked us next to the ravine where all the water from their entire parking lot for the whole casino was draining underneath our trailer.
Yeah, that was brutal. And in fact, they wouldn't give us our money back either. But like Mary says, we almost never pay that kind of money.
No.
But this was we were on some sort of detour, because of the flooding, we were being detoured around and just got hung up there. But
And I think, of course, one of my favorite parts of the year is we did get to see the grandkids a lot, and that always makes it fun. But what surprised us when we were going through our notes is that our whole plan when we were full-timing is we were going to get to see the national parks. And 27,000 miles, and we only went to 5 national parks. We went to Hot Springs, we went to Carlsbad, we went to, of course, Smoky Mountain, and we went to Guadalupe. And so we're going to this year. What are we going to do?
This year, you're going to have to stay tuned in because not only our adventures, but our intermingling between our son, Scott, and my daughter and her brew. And we're going to meet each other up at least 4 or 5 times, so you have to stick with us. We're leaving here. We're going to be here for the month of January in Florida, pretty much a week at Orlando,
Yeah, and then
going down
after Florida, we're going to South Carolina.
We've got a month of spending in Myrtle Beach.
And then we're heading cross country.
And we expect to at least stumble across our daughter at the Tulip.
Oregon.
Oregon at the Tulip. And she's doing Yellowstone.
But we're also going to national parks.
National parks. That's all we're going to do this year is national parks.
National parks.
And last year we did 27,089 miles, and we expect to top it this year.
Yeah.
Again, all of it going through national parks.
But this time we're going to actually go to the parks if the government doesn't shut them down on us.
We have a guarantee we're going to spend at least 3 nights in every park.
Yes.
That's a lot of miles.
We're going to slow down. None of this leaving Oregon and getting to Texas in 3 days. We're going to take it slow.
Okay, so that's where we're at. We're now in Georgia. 70-something degrees, very nice. You probably heard a few helicopters over. We're probably must be near a military base somewhere.
Right.
And this is Marybeth, and used for outdoor staycations.
And if you're going to the Tampa show, we'll be there. So we're hopefully going to be boondocking down at the Tampa show Thursday through Sunday. So stop by and say hello. Bye-bye.
Okay. Used for outdoor staycations. Give us a thumbs up, ring the bell, subscribe, and follow our adventures along with our daughters.
Learning as we're living.
Learning as we're living.
And of course, us at Outdoor Staycations. We're on Facebook, Twitter.
Right. And
Instagram.
see you at the Tampa show.
Bye-bye.